Good evening and welcome out to tonight's onboarding webinar. This is Coach Frank with Tackle Trading. I'm going to be taking you through the website tonight, showing you around a little bit, we'll let you know when things are, where they are, hopefully, so you can get to know us better if you're just starting using the platform, or if you're just checking into us and seeing what we're all about. Hopefully, it can give you a better idea of what we're doing kind of behind the scenes as well. So we will dive right on in. A couple of things. I'm going to come into the Trade Center here really quick. A couple of things that I always like to highlight at the beginning. Number one, shortly after this webinar at 8:30 p.m. Eastern tonight, right here on our YouTube channel, Coach Tim Justice will be doing a webinar on portfolio design. It is going to be really, really good stuff. It's portfolio design can be one of those things that's not as fun to talk about as trading bull flags or doing debit spreads or whatever, but it's a very important part of the process. Coach Tim's been doing this a long time. I have no doubt he's going to drop some really interesting stuff in that webinar, but definitely check that out. Again, that's tonight, December 20th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Check it out. I think you'll have a good time in there and learn a few things as well. With that said, let's dive right on into it. Let's talk tackle trading. At the end of the day, really, we're just a group of traders that have come together to share ideas, teach each other one another things, basically help each other out, right? And while nobody can make anybody else's trades for them, we can certainly bounce ideas off of one another. We can talk charts together. We can talk strategy selection, portfolio design, the whole 9 yards together. And that's exactly what we do each and every week here at Tackle Trading. I like to break it down into 3 parts when I'm explaining tackle trading. It's hopefully it's easier for people, but it's easier for me. So, and that's number one, the things that you can do on your own. That's going to be things like courses, blogs, some of the tools that we have here in the Trade Center. So basically things that you can do on your own time when you're ready at your own pace, if you will. Then the things that you can do with others, that's going to be the schedule. What are we doing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday type of stuff, right? When are we doing it? So the things that you can do with others. And then lastly, our weekend reports, our newsletter, stock, option, and commodity report that we present to the team each and every weekend. And so that will kind of be the way we come at it here this evening, is kind of, dipping into those 3 buckets, if you will. So let's start with the first one, the things that you can do on your own. And at least for me, what jumps out first and foremost is courses in that regard. We do have several courses available to all of our pro members. The 7-step guide to trading. That is a kind of an, in a way, it's an introduction to the tackle trading way. In some ways, at least, we have. No one trades exactly the same, right? You get, no 2 traders are going to be a mirror image of one another, but we do kind of share, philosophical views. I think as a community here at Tackle Trading, we're big kind of on the top down analysis, starting at the broad market, working down into sectors, commodities, individual equities, right? Obviously choosing our strategy to match the situation that we find ourselves in. Certainly watch list traders. So how do we find and kind of manage these watch lists so we're ready to take action if we get the signal that we're looking for? Of course, planning, placing, and managing the trade, and journaling the trade as well. So in some ways, it'll kind of give you an idea of kind of the tackle trading way, if you will. But even beyond that, it's really going to help get a little structure into your life, particularly if you're a newer trader. If you're a veteran trader, you probably have some structure. You probably have routines down that you feel comfortable with. And hopefully you can get some ideas here in the 7-step guide too. But if you're a newer trader in particular, most of us, when we're newer traders, we're kind of all over the map. We do a lot, but we're not particularly organized because, hey, we're new, right? And so if that's you, I think this will get you a little bit of structure to your daily and weekly routine and to your trading as well, which should probably immediately make a big difference. Of course, as traders, technical analysis and charts are our best friends, right? We're going to spend a lot of time looking at charts. And that's true whether we're day traders, swing traders, position traders, cash flow traders, trading cryptos, trading Forex, trading stock, whatever it is, we are going to be using technical analysis. And so, of course, technical analysis 101 is going to do exactly what you think it's going to do, right? Charts, and more charts, identifying support, resistance, trend, candlestick patterns, slowing momentum, right? Violations, pivots, all of that fun stuff. No one's ever, to my knowledge at least, ever got perfect at technical analysis. So there's always something that we can learn to make ourselves just a little bit better. I would certainly encourage you to check out that Technical Analysis 101 course. I think you'll really enjoy it. Of course, Options 101 is going to really introduce you to those option contracts. What's going on when you buy that call option? What's going on when you sell that put option, right? It's not quite the same as buying and selling stock, right? In the sense that stock's pretty straightforward. If you buy it at 20 and sell it at 21, you made $1. If you buy it at 20 and sold it at 19, you lost $1, right? Very straightforward in that regard. There's a lot of moving parts going on with options that we are going to have to contend with. The more we understand why those contracts are doing the things they're doing, I think the easier managing our strategies is going to be for us. So we're really going to focus on the option contract itself there in that Options 101 course. I'll show you where we'll talk strategies here in a couple of minutes. But before I do that, if you've ever been interested in either the futures or the Forex markets, but not exactly known where to start, this can be a great place to start. I know when I was first looking into futures years ago, it was really hard. And I don't know what it is like today, but it was really hard to kind of get good explanations on what exactly the differences are. What do I need to be watching out in the futures market? Because in a lot of ways it's going to be very similar to the stock market, but whether we're talking futures or Forex, those are very leveraged markets, and we need to kind of understand what's going on. They're going to have their own little things, right, that we need to keep an eye out for. So if you've ever been interested in learning about either one of those or both of those markets, but not like me with futures, not really know where to start, can be a great place to get going on either of those products as well. Regardless of what you like to trade and what time frame you like to trade it in, and I think we all agree, we all need to have very clearly designed rules and systems in place. And I've never met anybody, and I've talked to lots of traders in my lifetime that thought that was a bad idea. But it's one thing to say it, another thing to do it. And so the system development course is really going to be designed to help you train yourself, if you will, to come at your trading from a systematic perspective. I cannot recommend it enough. Whether you're brand new to the market or if you've been around for 15 years. I think you will really enjoy that course. It really is awesome. It's really important to have that clarity in the systems. It will absolutely change your approach to the markets, in my opinion, at least. So no matter who you are and where you are in this process, I would definitely, put that towards the top end of the to-do list personally. In addition to our pro membership courses, we do offer a handful of premium products. The Tackle 25 is a covered call-based system. Step system is our approach to swing trading. Cash flow condors, another cash flow system on the Russell 2000 via credit spreads, and bear market survival guide, kind of protecting ourselves against volatile spikes in the market, and then dealing with bearish market conditions, if and when we get into them. All of these are kind of one-time purchases. To complete system. The system is yours for life. If you would like a little bit more information on any or all of those systems, feel free to send us an email to team@tackletrading.com. You can find more information over in the store tab as well. Each month, we're going to get together with members of these different teams in a mastermind group. We do invite our pro members to join in on those. If they are interested. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we kind of get into the second basket, but you are certainly welcome to join us over there. Not everything needs to be a course, right? We're going to be doing regular blog content, whether it's more charting in terms of a technician, more options and option theory, hearing from our awesome female traders in the Women in Trading blog, working with Coach Greg over in the Rookie Corner, kind of taking concepts and building them from the ground up. These are going to be short reads / videos that just another great way to be able to answer questions that our community might be having, to share ideas with the team based off of what we're seeing on a Wednesday afternoon or something like that. So, not going to be, super, a super time commitment on any of those to go through them. So keep a lookout for those as well. Over in the Trade Center, you will find a link to our clubhouse. That's kind of our own personal social media place, although these days we're using more and more Discord, and we'll talk a little bit about that before we're done as well. But it's kind of just a place where members of the team can, bounce ideas around with one another. It's not Facebook, but it's kind of like a Facebook group in the sense that, it's just trading. It's just us. And it's a place where members of our community can bounce ideas around with one another. Our glossary, of course, a link to our trade journals, which we'll come back to in a minute, as well as the link to the tackle trading playbook. This is where you're going to find all of our strategies and the rules for those strategies. We break our strategy selection into three core areas based on the option Greeks: Delta, Theta, and Vega. Delta, if you're not familiar with option Greeks, is just direction, right? So D for direction, if you will. I think the stock's going to go from 70 to 75 or from 100 to 90, from point A to point B. I think the stock's going to do this or the product's going to do that. How can I take advantage of it? So, of course, that would include buying and selling stock, but it's going to be, things like buying call options, buying put options, doing debit spreads, doing ratio spreads, doing diagonal spreads. Basically, movement-based trading is what you'll find there in the Delta playbook. Over in the Theta playbook, that's our cash flow, T for time, right? The great thing about options is we get to sell them and take advantage of the one guarantee, which is that time passes, right? And those options all have an expiration date. So that's going to be things like selling covered calls and selling naked puts and selling credit spreads and selling iron condors, basically taking advantage of that Theta. Certainly a big fan of cash flow trading, I would say, as a community here at Tackle Trading. And then lastly, I call it the little brother, but maybe that's just me, the Vega or the volatility playbook, right? Where we're playing the expected volatility and not the direction or anything like that. So, first thing that always comes to my mind with volatility trading is earnings. I'm sure we've all seen some pretty crazy things. If you've been around the market for, 3 or 6 months or longer, you've probably seen some pretty wild earnings moves. The stock up 22% on earnings beat and stock down, 17% on earnings miss. Those type of situations where we might want to, feel like there's an edge. Hey, maybe the stock historically does tend to move a lot one way or the other on earnings. Maybe, there's no way that I can know if it's going to be a good or bad report this time, but I can say, hey, based off its history, there's a good bet it's going to move a lot one way or the other. Let's build a trade that profits if it does, in fact, do that. So that's what you'll find in the Vega or the volatility playbook. In all of these, you'll find a video going in detail of, what the strategy is, why we would choose the strategy, how we would do the strategy, our rules for the strategy. We'll even be putting in an example on the Thinkorswim platform if you're using TOS and need some help from that perspective, kind of, beginning to end on each of these strategies. There's also a little downloadable PDF cheat sheet, if you will, so you have easy access to the rules for those strategies as you're getting comfortable with them. There's also, you'll notice something between 0 and plus or minus 3, and this is just kind of on the spectrum of 0 being flat neutral, 3 being very bullish, minus 3 being very bearish. Where do we see this strategy, right? Kind of the way that I like to think about it is 1 is slightly bullish, -1 is slightly bearish, 2 is bullish, -2 is bearish, and then 3 or minus 3 is very bullish or very bearish. So again, we always want to match the strategy to the situation. So if I'm trading a stock that's breaking out of a 6-month consolidation at all-time highs, I'm probably expecting big movement in a relatively short time period. Whether or not I'm right, that's probably what my expectations are. For the average stock, at least, I'm going to probably want to make a trade that reflects that aggressiveness in the read of that type of a breakout, right? And so I'd probably be looking to a more, aggressive trade, a +2 or a +3, whereas maybe your read is, hey, Frank, I see what you're saying there, but this stock tends to move pretty slow. Maybe I'm going to be looking at a strategy with a little less aggressiveness to it. So that's kind of the way to kind of use these, at least in my estimation. So that is the Tackle Trading Playbook. Spend a lot of time in there and get to know some strategies for sure. If you come directly into the Trade Center, it's kind of a what's up, a tackle trading page. Really, what's our next show, most recent posts, most recent tweet. There's a little watch list that you can build out for yourself in here. I mean, of course, I would assume that you're probably going to be doing most of your watch listing in your own charting platform, your brokerage platform. But some of us like to have not have to log in to to a secure account, just look at some charts, or anything like that. So if you are interested in this watch list, you just throw your symbol in here. Say you wanted to add Pepsi, to it. I'm just going to select Pepsi. I'll hit this little plus button up here. That's going to add it to my list. Maybe I don't feel like I need TD anymore. I'm just going to select them, hit this minus button. That will get rid of them from that list. So kind of handy so you don't have to log in, especially when you're kind of on the go or something like that. There will be a little replay or a live showing of one of our YouTube shows. Typically, it'll be a replay. But if we are live, it will be a live showing that you can catch in here as well. Little mini calendar for the, what's the next little while, next day or two looking like here at Tackle Trading, where you are in any of your courses, right? So if you're, module 2, 7 minutes in on the futures course, you can pick right back up where you left off without having to kind of pausing and rewinding and where did I leave exactly, just to help keep you organized on that side of things. You'll find a variety of trader tools in here as well. You'll find a link to the market skyline in here. You're just going to find all of the charts for the big stuff all in one place, right? So you're going to find the futures charts for the S&P, for the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, the Russell. You'll find Bitcoin, the VIX, the emerging market, and all world ETFs, the major commodities, gold, silver, copper, crude, platinum, etc. The sector spider ETFs, so basically things that are important from a daily routine perspective, right? To kind of see what's going on, where's the opportunity, whether it's bullish, bearish, or more sideways. Don't have to do it on this page, of course, but we wanted to get it kind of a all in one place, if you will, so we can quickly and easily do that. There's also a link to the FinViz heat maps here as well. This will just bring you to finviz.com. The heat map for the day on the S&P 500, so we can kind of get that visual of what was happening in the market today, right? I think we all know it was a little rougher day. We did rally off of the lows pretty much across the board, but there are certain areas that are a little brighter red, right? Meaning they sold off more. Certain areas that are a little bit in the green. Couldn't make a trade off of this, obviously, but it can help me generate some ideas. So maybe, I saw some relative strength in healthcare. It's all relative on a day like today, but maybe that's worth checking out a little bit. So just a different, way to generate ideas. You can customize a little bit to look at the, weekly, quarterly, monthly performance, look at certain fundamental ratios. So that is an option as well. So that's that open heat map there. Over in the news link, this is just going to bring you to a news aggregator. This is just going to go through some of the bigger financial websites, including Market Watch, CNBC, The Times, Wall Street Journal. And as you can kind of see here, just kind of gets us the headlines. I can easily scroll through. Hey, Nike, let's see what they're doing on earnings. That's interesting to me. Maybe not so much this title, right? And it's not about what's interesting to anybody else. It's about what's interesting to me if I want to read it, right? This is really just designed to kind of streamline that experience. Of course, I could go read those articles directly on those sites, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. This is really just designed to make it eat faster, basically. Save me some clicks, save me some bouncing around. I can kind of roll through, read the stories that are interesting to me, and probably save a couple of minutes on the clicking side of things. You'll find a link to the economic calendar so you can know what's on the docket for today or for this upcoming week that might impact your trading. Another link to our market report, which we'll talk about here in a couple. A link to our search function, which is also this magnifying glass up here. It is pretty smart. So if you're ever looking for something on a particular strategy, for example, a covered call, a quick search can get you a lot of results on blogs, shows, conversations that we've had on that. We've got lots of content in here, and the search function, while I don't think there's such thing as perfect search functions, it is actually really smart and really, really helpful, at least in my opinion. Another link to the glossary. Again, we saw that in the drop down. A link to a chart if you ever need one, right? A link to the compounding gains calculator just to show the compounding powers of money. Sometimes we're so caught up in today that we forget that we're compounding over time, right? And sometimes a visual can really help out on that side of things. There's also another link to our trade journals. And as we saw, you can find them in the drop down of the Trade Center. I've always preferred coming in this way, though. And that's for really two simple reasons. One, this was here first, I'll be honest. And so I've been coming into it this way, longer than the drop down. But I'd get used to the other way around. Two, and the real reason is this will take you directly to the tutorials, the video tutorials, if you need some help with them. Some people do. There's no shame in that. I'm not a spreadsheet guy. I needed some help when I started using them. And so if you come into it this way, as you can kind of see here, how to use that journal will be in right there for you. We have 3 different journals. We have the trade journal, where we're entering, hey, what did I do? When did I do it? Right. So I can keep organized with everything. Really for the most part, I need to tell it what I did and when I did it, what I did it for. I bought for 20 on the 15th. I sold for 19th on the 20th. It's going to do the rest for me, right? So it's going to really help you keep organized. Theta research tool, so we can build and compare out our different cash flow trades, whether they're covered calls or credit spreads or whatever. The portfolio journal to help keep organized. As you can kind of see here, if you click on any one of these, you can catch the download in there. Again, you can get them on the drop down as well. I just like to come into it this way. Journaling your trades is really a critical part of this. Every single trade that you make is data if you let it be, right? And so let it be, right? As time goes on, patterns will emerge. I do better when I have this going on, and I do worse when I have that going on. Why is that? Maybe I can fix it. Maybe I can just not figure it out, but stop doing the things that I'm not doing as well, right? Until I do. It really is an important part of the process. And if you're not journaling your trades already, no time like the present to start doing that. It will save you money and make you money over time if you use that trade journal. So some of the tools that are available there in the Trade Center, hopefully that explained that for you a little bit. Let's kind of shift over to that second basket and that show that schedule, right? What are we doing? When are we doing it? Type of stuff. Let's kind of start with the daily market, right? Every market morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, we're going to get together in our Traders Lounge for an hour. Our Traders Lounge is really designed just to hang out with our team, bounce ideas around with one another, answer questions. There'll always be a coach in there to answer your questions, whatever those questions might be. All right. What maybe you're struggling with a particular strategy. Maybe you got a chart set up that you want to bounce ideas around on. Maybe you're got a trade that you're trying to manage and want to talk about some options on that side of things. Really, there's nothing that we can't talk about in there. Of course, you're always welcome to join us in that Traders Lounge. Get to know some other traders. Of course, get your questions answered live and in person. That is each market morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. This is the one show that we're not going to regularly record because quite honestly, no one's going to go watch one from a year ago, right? But we will record some snippets, sometimes. So for example, Coach Greg talked a little bit about management, closing butterflies, right? Rolling options. So, if there's a topic that we're discussing that's going to be, just as useful a year from now as it is today, it's not a big deal to record it and get that snippet and get it posted in here for, folks that maybe couldn't make it live or anything along those lines. If your schedule is such that maybe you're at work, Monday through Friday, a typical market day, 11 Eastern, but you really do have a question that you need some help with, let us know, reach out to us. We can discuss that in the lounge. We can record it for you. We can get it posted for you. We'll always do our best to accommodate our team and their questions. So every market morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, that will be the Traders Lounge. Shortly after that, of course, we head back over to our YouTube channel at 12:30 for the halftime report. Just a live look at the market as we work through that top-down analysis, right? What's going on in the market today, how it is impacting our charts and the indexes, how are the different sectors, how are the major commodities looking, stocks in the news, kind of that whole 9 yards of kind of working through the market. That's each day live on YouTube, or each market day live on YouTube at 12:30 Eastern, about the halfway point of the trading day. Of course, being on YouTube, once the live stream is over, it will automatically, populate to our channel. So that's, every single market day. We'll be working through the market with our team here at Tackle Trading in the lounge at 11, then back over on our YouTube channel at 12:30 in the halftime report. Then we're going to have our our evening slate of things. Let's start with the Coaches Show on Tuesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We do our Coaches Show. I love the Coaches Show for a couple of reasons. One, it's Tuesday night. we're a couple days into the market. So things have changed from where they were, coming into the week, right? Certain things might be standing out for opportunity, be it, from a cash flow perspective, a bullish perspective, a bearish perspective, whatever it might be. So it allows us to do a quick market skyline with the team, which is always handy. And what I also like about it, and this is probably the thing I like the most about it personally, is it allows us, I mean, there's so many things that we can talk about in trading, right? Whether it's, particular strategy, trading long calls versus bull calls, or diagonal calls, or pattern trading, bearish breakdowns, trading bull flags, whether it's indicators, using moving averages, using the RSI, portfolio design, trade management, stop loss placement. I mean, there's a lot we can talk about as traders, right? we don't run out of things to talk about, that's for sure. The Coaches Show really allows us to pinpoint in on one of those things that's really pertinent to today's market conditions and have those deeper conversations. I would certainly encourage you to make time in your week for the Coaches Show. Would love to have you live, but I certainly understand that schedules are schedules. The Coaches Show will be recorded and archived. If you can't make it live, if you need to watch it again or whatever, you want to watch, one on from 6 months ago on a subject that you find interesting, easy to find there in that link. That's Tuesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I would personally consider the Coaches Show the flagship show here at Tackle Trading. Maybe that's just me, but that's what I would consider it. On Thursday nights, we do our cash flow club once again at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. This is going to be a little more narrowly focused, as the name would probably give it away, on those cash flow option strategies, right? So building and managing covered calls, naked puts, credit spreads, condors, etc. We are a big fan, I would say, as a community of cash flow trading. I think the community at large implements at least some cash flow strategies into their portfolio design. Doesn't mean you have to, and if you don't want to, that's fine, but it would like it to be because you just prefer other things and not because you're uncomfortable with doing those things, right? So the cash flow club is really going to allow us to have those conversations every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Just like the Coaches Show, it will be recorded, it will be archived, and easy to find if you need to revisit any of those episodes. As I mentioned earlier, once each month, we get together with the different members of those premium systems in a mastermind group. We certainly invite our pro members to come on in, hang out, listen to what we're talking about in there. So you'll find those in there as well. You will find the Women in Trading Mastermind group. As I mentioned earlier, we have an awesome team of female traders with us here at Tackle Trading. They get together about once a month in their Women in Trading Mastermind group. I, of course, don't get to go, but I have no doubt I know them, and I know that they're having a good time in there. I know they're getting a lot of good work done. So if you are a woman in trading, or if you know a woman in trading, I would certainly be on the lookout. We'll make sure that we promote when the event's coming up, but definitely get in touch with the awesome ladies of Tackle Trading. I have no doubt that you will very much enjoy it. And sorry, fellas, when that one's going on, you're just gonna, like me, gonna have to find something else something else to do that day. If you come into the events calendar, as you're getting to know us, we're pretty regimented, as far as when we're doing things, but, we are going to keep our community pretty busy. So over in the events calendar, easy way to see, what's going on today. Where is the link, right? It's Tuesday, tomorrow afternoon. Oh, the Coaches Show is going on. You can click on that and get the link to get into the room. Very easy to do, and hopefully helps you kind of get to know us a little bit. Or get as you get used to the schedule. A product that we relatively recently launched is what we call our trading labs. Coach Mark, Coach Emily, and Coach Tyler each have a trading lab. Basically, it's a smaller group of traders that kind of get together. They've got their own private Discord channels. They get together each month or each week, I'm sorry, in a power meeting, and basically just kind of work together, work the market together based off of maybe philosophy a little bit. They are subscription services. If you are interested, again, you can find more information on that link or over in the store tab. If you would like to check them out, just let us know, and we would be happy to get you set up with a trial so you can kind of see what they look like on the other end. But those are a secondary subscription service that we do offer our community if they're interested. On Wednesday nights, we do A couple of things. Number one, here on our YouTube channel at 7 Eastern, we do our Trade Masters webinar where a couple of the coaches will get together and basically bounce some trades off of one another, and members of our community in the chat, members of the community vote, and at the, whose trade ideas they like the best, and at the end of it, somebody's declared a winner. And the Trade Master, it really is just a place where we can kind of get together midweek with the team, bounce some ideas around. There's never a bad way to come up with a trade idea, right? It's not about the ones you don't like, it's about the ones that you do like. So it's just a lot of fun to be able to kind of share ideas and get ideas as well from other traders. So we're doing that on our YouTube channel at 7 Eastern. And then shortly after, we're going to come back over here to Tackle Trading for our Wednesday night Traders Lounge. It's going to be a lot like the morning Traders Lounge, except we're just coming out of the Trade Masters webinar, right? And so we might spend a little time, if our team needs us to, going a little deeper in any of the ideas that we talked about, in that Trade Masters webinar. But we can also just answer questions. So again, maybe you're working, 11 a.m. Eastern, and you can never make it to that morning lounge. Maybe you can come into the evening lounge on Wednesday night and get your questions answered live and in person. While it's probably an oversimplified way to think about it, and I'm going to scrap probably, it definitely is. An easy way to kind of think about it is the lounge is really very specifically for our team's questions, whatever those might be. What do you need us to talk about today, right? What do you need from us? The halftime report is really about that daily routine, staying on top of the market. And the evening shows are where we can really kind of put on that teaching hat, if you will, and go much more focused, much deeper on all of these different subjects. And of course, there's going to be crossover in all of them, right? But, overly simplified way to think about it as you get to know us might be helpful from that point of view. So that is the schedule. We will, be around a lot, and we certainly invite you to join us in all of the things that we're doing. But we understand, right? Not everybody's going to be able to join every single one of them, and that's okay too, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Let's talk that third tier, and that's our weekend report. So, on Fridays, as the market's winding down, we're all getting together as a team of coaches here, talking markets, talking sectors, commodities, trade setups, all of that fun stuff. And out of that meeting comes our weekend reports, our tackle newsletter, stock, option, and commodity report that we get delivered to our team by Saturday afternoon, so they have plenty of time to work through them before the market opens back up. The tackle newsletter is, again, as I mentioned earlier, and as you saw in the first step of the 7-step guide to trading, we are big on the top-down analysis here at Tackle Trading and kind of working down. And that's exactly what we're doing each week in the newsletter, talking about, what's going on in the market right now, right? What did it do in the week that was, right? What happened as far as that goes? What were the storylines moving everything? All of that good stuff. Talking sectors, talking volatility, talking about the upcoming economic calendar, things to be watching out for. Of course, we'll have a video going over all of this stuff with the team. Where is the broad market, right? Where is the market as a whole, whether it's the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ, the Russell? If you need them, the ETFs that track those indexes, or at least the big some of the big ETFs that most traders use, at least most traders I know. DIA tracks the Dow Jones, QQQ tracks the NASDAQ, IWM tracks the RUT, and SPY tracks the S&P 500. The internals, we'll take a closer look at the internals of the market. Basically, we're going to look at over 8,000 stocks. Who's putting in new highs, who's putting in new lows, right? To kind of get an idea of what the overall strength of the market is. One of the things, not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but thing about things like the S&P 500, for example, is these indexes are weighted, right? And so some of these big companies, they're huge: Apple, Microsoft, Google, right? Amazon. These companies are absolutely monstrous. And so sometimes they can, their performance can, maybe mislead the overall strength or weakness of the market. So this is going to take a closer look at where things are as a whole, with the internals of the market and kind of breaking off of that, the advanced decliner in here as well. We're also going to rank the sectors each week based off of the companies that we're seeing in those sector spider ETFs. So you'll see them ranked here with the sector spiders. And let's just talk quickly about them so to make sure you're familiar with them. What the sector spiders are, they're ETFs. They're going to go into the S&P 500 and pull out stocks sector by sector. It's because it's based on the S&P 500, it's going to weight accordingly, right? And it's going to allow us to have an isolated look at these different sectors. So XLE, for example, this is what the energy sector looks like. XLP, this is what the staples sector looks like. XLRE, this is what the real estate sector looks like, right? If you want, to dive deep on these, I would always just suggest go straight to the source. And then in this case, that's the ETF provider. It's just sectorspdr.com, the word sector, the letter is spdr.com. There you can see, who's in them, how they're built, how they're weighted, all of that fun stuff. But we, on our scoreboard, are going to be ranking the sectors not based off of the individual ETF, but the companies that make up those ETFs as well. We're going to take a deep dive into those sectors and kind of see, what's standing out, what's not standing out. We are going to break the sectors into three core areas. You're going to have the growth areas of the market. That's technology, discretionary, communications. You're going to have the cyclical areas of the market, the financial sector, the industrial sector, energy and basic materials, and then the defensive areas of the market, healthcare, staples, real estate, utilities, right? And it'll be reflected in, blue, yellow, and purple-ish each respectively. We're going to be ranking them. As I mentioned, we'll be moving them up, down, or leaving them the same based off of what we're seeing on the individual components that make up those sectors. We'll, kind of talk you through it in the video portion of it. Of course, to have a better idea there. You'll notice that it's on a football field. Between the 40s is kind of neutral territory, maybe, skewed a little one way or the other, but overall pretty neutral. Between the 40 and the 20 is going to be slightly, bullish or slightly bearish. The goal line to the 20 is going to be, slightly bearish, slightly bullish. It's going to be extremely unlikely that you see us put an entire sector in the end zone. You never say never, but, I wouldn't expect it. I personally don't expect that I would ever do it. I don't expect the other coaches here would ever do it either. It's a little more aggressive than I think we are as a team. It's very normal to put a stock at plus or minus 3, right? That's really, really normal. But the entire sector, boy, that's tough because there's a lot of stocks. And even if one's standing out amongst the crowd, that can make it very difficult to do so. So it's pretty unlikely you'll ever see us put a sector in plus or minus 3 territory, but you never say never, right? Just, I wouldn't hold your breath by any means. We'll also, of course, rank the S&P 500 each week as well. And again, we'll kind of talk you through this in the video portion of the newsletter. At the end of our scanning report meeting, all of the different coaches will share their favorite bullish and their favorite bearish setups that we found for our stock and options report in our rapid fire video. It's a fun way to end the meeting, share ideas with the team, let them know what we like, what setups we like the most and why we like them the most. It's always a fun thing to do. I mentioned earlier our Discord channel. If you are a pro member, I certainly invite you to come on over and join us on Discord. It's a great way to be able to communicate with members of the team easily throughout the day, throughout the week. It's a really, really cool place. And it's getting, more and more pumping each and every week. So certainly invite you to join us. You'll find that link right here. And, find it in the stock report and option report and other places as well. And if you can't find it and need to get in there, just send us an email. We'll get you hooked up for sure. A friendly reminder to match the strategy to the situation, right? We're people, right? And sometimes we can get it in our head that we're going to buy a put option or that we're going to do a bull put spread, or, we can do that type of stuff. The market doesn't care what we want, why we want it, right? We have to work with the market conditions that we're dealing with. That's just the reality of it, right? And so sometimes, we can, get it into our head or, I want to do this. Well, you can want whatever you want, right? But a friendly reminder never hurt any of us. You'll also find a pre-built scanner in here. So if any particular area has caught your attention as you're going through your daily routine and you're saying, I really like the staple sector. Yeah, it sold off with the market today, but it bounced back pretty nicely. Let's do a quick check at some of the stocks within that space. This will just bring you to FinViz once again. And this is going to be a pre-built scanner. It's going to have what I consider trader-friendly stocks. And when I say trader-friendly stocks, what I mean is they're very liquid, so they're very easy to trade shares on. They're shortable, so if I'm trying to make a sell short, I can do that. They all have options. Now, just because a stock has options doesn't mean those options are particularly liquid, right? If you're an option trader, you know that. If you're not and you're learning, you will learn that quickly for sure. But they are optionable. I would say as a whole, yeah, they're, you can do a lot with options on the companies that are in these lists. But there are certainly some that I would never trade options on personally. And I doubt that I'm alone in that on that side of things. We can always check, right? They have options. We can go check that liquidity. If it's there, great. If it's not, great, right? We just won't mess around with it. If it's not there, we can trade the equity, or if we're not willing to trade the equity, we can find another trade candidate, right? And if you're not sure how to do that, you'll learn about that in that Options 101 course. It's very important. You never want to get stuck in an illiquid option. It's not any fun at all. If you've ever been, and you don't need me to tell you that, right? And if you've never been in that situation, I think if you trust me, you don't want to. So, but kind of coming back, what you'll notice is it's just going to get us some side-by-side kind of bird's eye view charts. So I can kind of see, what's going on. Is anything standing out one way or the other, right? I could never make a trade off of these tiny charts. I wouldn't even try, but I can kind of see the snapback on General Mills, right? A lot of momentum, much like the market sold off last couple of days. That might be sitting on one of my favorite moving averages, the 9 EMA. I'd have to go look at an actual charting platform to see that. But just like that, I found somebody that's, at least interesting enough to check out. Or maybe you prefer PG, right? Big breakout, pullback opportunity. Maybe you prefer a breakout candidate on Mondelez, big run up into resistance, struggling at resistance. Maybe we have a breakout candidate, right? Maybe you like this little reversal, double bottom, just broke resistance, been consolidating for several weeks on grocery outlet here. Maybe you want to take a closer look at that. Maybe you like all of those, maybe you don't like any of them. But the point is, and hopefully you can see it, it's an easy way for me to say, just like that, I found a few charts that I think at least are worth taking a closer look at tonight, see if there's maybe a trading opportunity in those areas. So, of course, that will be for all of the different sectors. That, of course, won't be every stock out there, but there will be, as a whole, a group of trader-friendly stocks, very easy way to go through a lot really quick, right? And yeah, I can't make a trade off any of that, but I got some ideas. I can go take a closer look, and who knows what will come of it, right? A little world watch, the emerging market ETF, the all world ETF, the dollar index ETF. Final thoughts of the day or of the week. So really, just to make sure that our team is ready to roll going into each and every market week, right? That is the Tackle newsletter. I always would suggest that you start there because, again, I'm a big believer in the Tackle way, and starting at the top of the markets is the first step in the 7-step guide to trading for a reason. All right. And so, it can be tempting. It's a lot more fun, I think, sometimes to go look at some setups and, if you're an option trader or a stock trader, but having that perspective really, really will help. Typically, Coach Mark does the commodity report for us. He does a great job kind of highlighting what's going on in the world of commodities. What do the charts look like? What are the fundamentals, backdrops looking like? What are the themes of that particular commodity going on right now? Commodities, whether we're trading them in the futures market or if we're using proxies to trade them through, the stock or options, there's a lot of good opportunities that can present themselves for us. And so even if you aren't interested in trading over in futures, you don't want to buy gold contracts or, crude contracts or whatever, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There are going to be plenty of things that you can do through the equity market. So I would still highlight, I encourage you to check that commodity report out. Coach Mark does a great job with that for sure. The stock and option report are going to be built fairly similar to one another in many ways, right? Basically, we want to make sure that our team, including us as coaches, we want to make sure that we have some good quality trade candidates, both from a bullish and a bearish perspective, each and every week, good quality technical setups, right? Whether we're trading stock options or both, We want to make sure that that is the case. And so we're going to build out a watch list. As we're going through our scanning report meeting, we're looking at lots of charts together and putting together a watch list for the upcoming week, both potential bullish candidates as well as potential bearish candidates. That's going to be true for the stock report. That's going to be true for the options report. That's where we're starting. Now, where they're going to differ is, well, in the option report, we're going to spend a little more time talking about strategy selection, right? This might be a scenario where, selling a naked put makes sense. This might be a scenario where maybe we want to just do a debit spread and, kind of talk about that side of it, right? In the stock report, we're kind of coming at them from a stock trading perspective. I would say, as a whole, it's pretty fair there are going to be scenarios where you might want to trade options with things in the stock report, and it's, no shame in checking that option chain, seeing if they're there, if it's available, seeing what the liquidity looks like. And if you're comfortable with it, great. Right. But the reason it might be in the stock report is because the options are there, but the liquidity on those options just isn't great. And, if I wouldn't trade it, neither would any of the other coaches. And so we won't put something on our options report that we ourselves would not be comfortable trading the options on. It might be the greatest setup ever. Well, great. Hey, we can trade equities, right? Especially here in the States, most of them have $0 commissions on our equity trades. All right. So we can trade both of those products in the stock report. And because of that, we're going to talk a little bit more about process, right? As far as, whether that's routine, entry, stop management, targeting, all of that fun stuff. So the conversations that we're going to be having kind of in the video portion is going to differ a little bit, as you can imagine, based off of that. But the way these trades are coming together, at the end of the day, it's starting with the technical pattern, right? And then whether you're, primarily an option trader, primary stock trader, or open to both, that can depend, right? Some people don't like options. Some people only trade options, right? I think a lot of us are very open to both sides, but that's for each of us to decide for ourselves. We can talk a lot about what's going on there in the video portion of it. We'll always, do a little teaching in there as well, of course. When you come into these reports, there's a couple things I always like to highlight here. This button right here, this widget button, that's just going to hide the watch list. So you have a little more chart to work with. So for example, maybe we are, interested in this deeper pullback on Apollo here. And we kind of want to, kind of do a little bit of trade prep, if you will, but want a little more chart to work with. Really easy to do. If we prefer this little gap fill, similar type of pattern, but a gap fill off of good earnings, right? We'll go with them as our example here tonight. I can hit that widget button, get a little more chart. If you zoom your mouse button up, you can do this. If you zoom down, you can scrunch it down. If you hold your left mouse button down in the dollars, you can up or down, just to get it, basically to get it sized. Hold the left mouse button down in the body of the chart, you can do this. So basically, just to get the chart sized the way that it's comfortable to my eyes, right? You'll, as you see, it's defaulted to a daily chart. These are, unless we know otherwise, and occasionally we will, but where maybe we see it as a better position opportunity. Overall, we're looking at these as these setups from a swing trading point of view. So, our first chart stop's going to probably be the daily chart. That'll be the default there. As you can see, we're defaulted to candlesticks, but if you are one of the few out there who still prefers bar charts, very easy to change that to those charts if that is you, and that's fine. I still know a couple people who use the old bar charts. If we want to add an indicator or two, just come on in, smack indicators. Do be aware that it is not going to save. So before you add, 5 different indicators, be aware that when you come back to this page, those indicators aren't coming back with you. Typically, I just add the ATR. But that is just me. You can highlight or hover your mouse over the little barrier between volume and the indicator and scrunch it down or up as you need to size it out. Like I said, it's fine if you want to add a couple of different indicators, but just be aware, right, before you get too crazy that they will leave on that end. Your trend line tool is going to be in here, whether we're kind of drawing this kind of a trend line or we're drawing, horizontal. I know not particularly applicable today, but a horizontal level of support or resistance. So very easy to get your trend line out there. If I don't need it, I can just select it, hit that trash bin. It'll get rid of it for me. I always like this tool. But before I talk about that, there is this drop down next to the daily chart. You can look at shorter term intraday. So maybe we want to go intraday for entry or stop loss options with a 15, 35, whatever your favorite is. Maybe want to look a longer term, look at the weekly or the monthly chart. So it is a little bit customizable to lengthen that time frame or take a more bird's eye view into it. This guy right here, you'll find the long and the short position tool. Of course, this is a bullish situation, so I'm not going to get too crazy. Let's just say we're interested in New Relic. We want to see it take out last week's high, right? So where would I get in, right? I'm not going to be too precise here. That's where I'd like to get in. I'd like my stop loss below last week's low, and I'd be targeting up to 130, where it basically kissed last time, right? So maybe that's my analysis on the trade. I'd like to get in above last week's high with a stop loss below this week's low and a target price or a secondary target price at 130, right? What does that look like? For every dollar I'm risking, I have potential $2.36 in potential return. Most traders, myself included, do kind of use the 2-to-1 rule, right? For every dollar I'm risking, I need to have expectation of getting 2 back in return. Of course, that's up to us each to decide, but most of us traders do employ that rule, I think, for good reason. Maybe you don't like that. Maybe you think, you know what, Frank, no, we need to take out that high from 2 weeks ago. Let's get above there, and then we can get our stop loss below this week's low. We don't need to go all the way down below that little hammer from last week. My target price is, I think 130 is still my target price, but maybe you're aggressive and your first target price is 130, but your second target price is 140, right? So we can kind of see what does that look like. So we can basically kind of map these trades out. It's going to save us a lot of time. Do the math for us. Hey, what's my risk to reward? So instead of having to watch me live and in person do math, well, getting in at 107.50 and I've got to stop here. It just saves a ton of time. So at least for me, it does. So that you'll find in here. Again, you'll have it for both the bullish and the bearish side of it. There's a lot of other things you can do within these charts, but those are some of the big ones that I think you'll find helpful. And while I would imagine the vast majority of the time you're going to be doing your charting will be on whatever platform you're using, at least probably the first time you go through the stock report, the option report, whatever it is, you probably will be looking at these charts. Or maybe, part of the, your nightly routine is, okay, well, am I interested still in Apollo? I'd want it to go above today's high, but it has to basically hold this low. What about Edward Life Sciences? Is it close enough to the breakout point for me to want to put a trade in? And, maybe not, right? That's up for me to decide. But I always like to show a couple of tricks there in this trading view platform that you've seen in several of the pages here on Tackle Trading that we embed in. So hopefully you'll find that helpful as well. Like I said, we want to make sure, whether it's stock, options, or commodities, you have some quality trade ideas. Every member of our teams, including ourselves, we can use these however we want. Most of us will kind of take the setups that we, for me, for example, I'll take the setups I like most in the stock and the ops report, both from a bullish and a bearish point of view, for whatever my reasons are. Maybe I just don't like the stock. I don't want to trade it. Maybe I don't like that area of the market, that the sector that it's in. I don't want to trade it. Maybe I've already got 3, utility trades, and I'm not looking to add a fourth, right? The reasons are my own. No one will ever tell me that I have to trade anything, right? But like I said earlier, there's no bad way to find a trade idea, right? I mean, we could trade all of them if we wanted to, and that's fine. We can just take the ones that we like, add them to our watch list, and be ready to take action if we get the signal that we like. So hopefully that explains those reports. And once again, you can expect those by Saturday afternoon, so you have plenty of time to get through them before the market opens back up. As we get wrapping up here this evening, a couple of quick things. I would certainly, if you would like the daily email, you can find the information here in the Tackle Today, just the daily email. You can get signed up for right here. You can also read the daily email. It will be delivered to your inbox faster, but we will post it directly in this Tackle Today page as well. So you can read it in there. At the end of the week, do the Huddle podcast, just talking about the top 10 stories of the week that was. Just quick to make sure everybody's up to date going on. You'll also each week find the Trading Justice podcast, tradingjustice.com. Our friends Matt, Tim, and Coach Mark, all three of those gentlemen, big parts of what we're doing here at Tackle Trading. Can't imagine doing it without them. Each week they get together on the Trading Justice podcast. Again, that's tradingjustice.com. It's definitely well worth the listen. It's a lot of fun, very informative. You can catch it directly at tradingjustice.com, or you can find it on all of your major podcast providers. Would definitely encourage you to incorporate that to your weekly routine as well. There's also a great monthly newsletter they do each month over on tradingjustice.com. So I would check them out for sure. I think you'll enjoy it. We are active on all of the traditional social media platforms: LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. So if you're using any of these platforms, certainly extend you an invitation to come on over and join us, and hope to see you over there. We have, we're probably best known, I think from a YouTube point of view for our live streams. We do a lot of live stuff, most notably the halftime report, but the Trade Masters webinar and our special webinars like Coach Tim's portfolio design webinar coming up here in about a half an hour. We're probably best known for our live content, but we've got a lot of other content on our channel as well. A lot of how-tos, walkthroughs, thinkorswim tutorials. We're always, looking for new things to add. So certainly would ask that you come on over, join us, give us a subscribe, do the YouTube thing. You know the drill on that. So it really does help, though. The subscribes and the likes, the notifications, they do definitely help. So if you're enjoying your time here at Tackle Trading, I certainly would appreciate. I think we all would. Doing the YouTube thing. And if that's not you, that's okay too. But certainly does help us out. Don't forget, Coach Tim coming up here in about a half an hour for a really awesome portfolio design webinar. I would definitely, check it out. Hope to see you live, but it's getting late and it's the week before Christmas, right? We don't have even a week left. We're busy. So it is going to be recorded and archived, and then, hopefully you'll enjoy it at a later time. But hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, this gave you a better idea of who we are at Tackle Trading, what we're doing, when we're doing it, where you can find it. Never hesitate to reach out if you need anything. Send us an email, team@tackletrading.com. Hit me up in Discord. Hit the team up on Facebook, whatever it is. If you need something, holler. We're all on the same team here. We all want to see each other succeed in the market. Everybody's more than happy to help one another out. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for tonight. But hopefully I'll see you here in about a half an hour in Tim's webinar. And if not, have a great evening and a great upcoming holiday. Be safe and merry. And I'll look forward to seeing you all again in the not too distant future. But until then,